Okay, another talk about pulleys. I'm starting to want to get into these a little bit more. First off, noisy Jim. First off, I managed to bring my trusty tape measure this time. I encourage you, if you're a nerd, if you really want to be able to analyze things, don't be afraid to bring some tape measure or some way of actually measuring the distance that things move. Particularly if you're trying to look at cable displacement, you know, how much plates or stacks are moving, or analyze the lengths of moment arms. Anyway, though, we're on a Life Fitness pull-down machine. See the handles up there? Now, I'm not going to really be speaking to the moment arms and the change in resistance as far as that goes in this video. I'm much more interested in looking at the pulleys, as I said. Now, in a previous video, I explained that one of the ways you can kind of figure out as a shorthand how much force you're generating when you move the handle or when you move the cable. You can look at how much your end moves, like your handle, versus how much the weight stack moves. So this gives an example here. Hopefully you can see. If I can do this smoothly, this is where you're pulling on the cable. So you can think of this almost as where your effort goes into the machine for the purposes of this video, right? Now, again, there are angles to consider, there are moment arms to consider. I don't want to clutter you up with that or confuse that. But take a look at this. Again, there's the handles up here, so you'll be pulling these down. So as I do this, watch how far this goes. I'm going to move this, and then if you look in the background, you'll see the weight stack moving, right? Boom. Okay? That's about a foot elevated there. I've moved this about 6 inches. You can see the displacement. Now, granted, it's on an arc, right? So it's not perfect. But you can see roughly how far this pulley moved in space. Okay? Again, let me come back. There it is. We pull this out. Comes out. Let's go about 6 inches or so, something like that. And again, that guy's gone up a foot. What does that mean? Well, that means that you've actually generated twice as much force as the weight that's on that stack. Now, granted, I only have a little, it'll say 10 pounds over there. And really, for now, don't even worry about what the weight number is on the stack. That's a whole separate discussion because, based on the lever lengths, the moment arms, you have, the resistance could be nothing like the number that's actually on the stack, as I've said before. But for purposes of tension and, at least what's going on right here at the cable, what's happening right over here, you get to hopefully get an appreciation for what's going on with either the multiplication or the division of forces. So if you look at the way this is designed, you'll see that on one end, the cable is just anchored into the machine. Well, what's that mean? That means that for this thing to move in space, you're having displacement on both ends. What I mean by that is, for every inch that this moves in space, this side and this side both need to get about an inch longer, right? I'll say that again. For this pulley to move 1 inch linearly, 1 inch in this direction, the length here and the length here both have to increase by an inch, so 2 inches total. That means I need to pull a total of 2 inches out of the machine on the cable to get 1 inch of displacement of this pulley. So now, that'll explain why this guy moves up 2 inches for every inch that this moves. And that's why it's going to feel heavier here than the weight over there. As in, you're generating twice as much force on this end compared to what the weight is over there, assuming all these other pulleys just redirect the force and there's no real friction to worry about, or the friction's negligible. So that might be a little hard to wrap your head around. So, don't freak out if you don't get it immediately. But again, because this cable is wrapped around this pulley and anchored here, it's not moving all along it, it's anchored here. To move this, for every inch I gotta move this, I need 2 total inches of cable to come out of the machine, because it gets 1 inch longer on this end and 1 inch longer on this end. Picture that as I move this machine again, right? if you were to add it up, you get more along the axis there. Okay. You can see, just picture underneath the little shroud on the pulley there, the cable has to wind all the way around it, so it kind of has to effectively get longer on both sides, which means I have to feed out twice as much cable here as the actual displacement of this pulley in space. I'll probably do some more videos to try to explain this further. So also another thing is, often whenever you have machines that do this, right, there's a doubling effect where the resistance on this end is twice as much as the weight on the plate, which you'll often see. Don't consider this a rule, but you will often see the numbers written twice. And sometimes you'll see machines that'll say this is the weight per handle. That's still kind of silly, because again, you don't know what the resistance is until you analyze the force angles and moment arms. But that is sometimes a clue that there's something going on with the pulley that means it's not all one-to-one. It's not all just redirecting through the machine, right? If we look here, cable goes up. There's a pulley somewhere in here, probably redirects, comes straight back down, comes out around this pulley, comes out of the machine. Again, that's just redirecting the force. That's all it's doing, just redirecting it. And then from here, it comes up, gets redirected around this guy, and this is where things change, because it goes around this last pulley and then gets anchored back in to the machine right here. This is a fixed piece. This is not going anywhere. So as this moves through space, this cable's winding around. 1 inch of displacement, 2 inches of total cable coming out of the machine. So hopefully that makes some kind of sense. I'll continue to make videos on this and maybe even do some diagrams to help explain it. But thanks for watching.